All right, so this game here, Desert Bus, reminds me of time I've spent in deserts all over the world. I think I visited 8 of the 25, major deserts. There's more than 25 deserts in the world, obviously. I believe about 1/5 of the world's landmass is covered by desert. But there's really only 25 worth visiting, and none of them are safe, as was asked of me here. Death Valley ranks high on the list, but I'm thinking more of the desert. It's not very well known. It's in the Andes Mountains, and it was discovered. Discovered by Alexis Denisov in the early 1700s.
The little-known 181700s.
Yeah, there was the 1700s, and then there was the 1700s, and then the 1800s. There were a lot of clerical errors back then that history sort of glosses over. For example, no one knows about, the 13th month, which was just sort of mushed into June. It was called Joom, with an M, and it was Joom, but, it was only 15 days, and June was only 15, so they decided, you know what, we're going to pretend that Joom never happened. And, you just don't know these things.
They say history was written by the winners, and there were no winners at that time in history, which was a big problem.
Yes, Joom, J-U-U-M. Exactly. No, not Smarch. Smarch, no. Smarch is fictional. Let's be serious here. So, the Zerg. The Zerg, yes. Where was I? Yes, the desert in the Andes Mountains. It's a very small desert. It's actually quite damp in the Andes Mountains, which is not to say that all deserts are dry. The Arctic tundra in Canada, that is technically a desert. But the one in the Andes was, the sand dunes and everything, and, the rolling hills and no water as far as you can see. But at the same time, it's a very strange optical illusion, however, because it was only 25 feet across in one direction. But the Andes being in Chile, it was 25 feet across, but several miles long. Very, very dense fog, however. And so you kept getting lost. You couldn't actually ever find your way off one of the sides, which is a good thing, because the Andes, being quite steep hills as they are, you'd probably end up falling quite some way if you walked off either side. It's sort of on a pinnacle like that. There's one stretch of desert. It's in one of the episodes of Planet Earth. Look it up. So as I'm walking along, I run into this large camel who is very confused for a couple reasons. Now, you're thinking, camel, desert, why is he so confused? Well, South America, alpacas. Camels, not so often found in South America. This particular camel, his name. Come in. Why, hello. Oh, good lord. this particular Captain Planet is the breed of camel. Well, that's why it was so intriguing, because this was a breed of camel not yet known to science, which is why he was so terribly confused, as he told me. Oh, I should have mentioned, he could talk. His name was Fred. Not very creative, the camels. Very good at math, as I understand, from books I read. Beangrar, what's that? Delicious organs. Horde of zombie woodpeckers. You have some very interesting ideas about the things I get up to of a weekend. Yes, do be sure to keep donating. Trognometry. Good point. I'm glad someone reminded me of trognometry, because it's really the universal language. I mean, everyone knows trognometry, right? Like, if I'm talking to someone from Russia and we're trying to explain something to a gentleman from Cambodia, all of us can roughly get the point across with trognometry. It's a system of ley lines that run through most of those 25 deserts that I mentioned. If you look at them, it's interesting because you have to really look at them from the air, like height of a halo jump, of which I've done 5 in the recent month. that's really the best height to see how these lines line, which is, the civilizations who lived in these places. How could they possibly have known that, that it would all line up like this? But that gives you, that's essentially trigonometry, and it's pretty much a culture-spanning idea. So yes, it was the 5th of June when I was up there. I prefer to use the old calendar myself. It's just it's a personal quirk. But I was up there on the Andes, the super secret Andes desert. I'm not entirely sure. Yes, the Jubbly Desert. Why not? It's the Jubbly Desert. We'll call it that. No one really knows the name. It's been lost to the ages. No one actually, despite the universal language, no one actually knows what the desert was called. So I'm talking to this camel, talking to Fred the camel, using my trigonometry square, which is a device. They call it a square. It's really more of a sort of a rhombus with a curvy bit on the end, and the two bits sort of. Okay, if you have a map and you have to, it doesn't really work without the actual thing here. So I'll once again, Wikipedia, look it up. They know what they're talking about. Eventually, I got the point across. This camel was just trying to find his way home. But I didn't know he was new to science camel. I didn't know where he was from. And it turns out that he actually wasn't that far in a grand scheme. He lived in that desert, just the other end of the desert, which is, have you seen Chile? It's the tallest, thinnest country in the world, apart from, the silly one. And, so I eventually ended up getting the point across to him that, if he just turn around and walk the other way, then eventually he'd probably end up finding his way home. And luckily he was able to show me how he'd been able to survive in that desert, which is most camels hump on the back to store water. He actually had, it was sort of it's a parasitic, they rely on one another. It's a camel with a small cactus on his back, and it keeps the water, and it keeps flipping birds from landing on him all the time, because it just pisses him off. At least this is a rough thing. So as imagine me, if you will, Fred, the new to science camel with the cactus on his back, and me with my own. I had to dig one up, carrying my own cactus around, and I tell you, saved my life. And it basically, since then, I have never been in a desert without adding a cactus to my trusty emergency kit, and that's yes, a cactus. It's it comes in more handy than you might think. So always carry a cactus with you if you're going to be in any of the good deserts.
How about the crappy ones?
They've termed it a Bactus.
A Bactus. Thank you, Bactus. The crappy ones, if you're in a crappy desert, you're pretty much screwed anyway, so just don't go there.
None of those crappy deserts hurt.
I just fold my glasses back.
The Bactus is actually the 8th imperative of trigonometrics.
So, I just have a question.
I can confirm that.
Yeah, Oscar's a thug now.
The internet's not, scary, right? Like, the internet doesn't have $200, right?
Uh-huh.
Not that.
Is that all it takes?
Seriously?
I don't want to be scared of anything, right?
Are we serious?
Less than 15 minutes, guys.
We have 15 minutes to raise two.
Do you want to see Jer suffering in this chair? I think you do. I have this feeling in my heart.
200 more.
Let's take a pledge break here.
All of our donations
ask you for your money.
Okay.
On our trip.
Right now, I'm going to auction something off.
Hold on, Morgan, wait for 1 second.
And that is an hour of...
Wait.
I guarantee you we're already there if this loads.
What?
Really? Yeah.
James thinks we're already there.
Oh, yeah, we're there.
Are we?
Yes! Okay, what's our total now?
$67,397.
What? We might triple Desert Bus 1. We literally might frickin' triple that.
Graham, can we get a
So, the guy...
I have no idea what you're saying.
Hooray!
You guys, the kids are going to stop believing in Santa Claus. They're only going to believe in desert bugs.
You've ruined it.